People always needed to know plants. This was for food. It was also for medicine. Early systems were practical. They focused on human uses. Herbalists were key figures then. They recorded plant knowledge. This knowledge was very valuable. Ancient Greeks studied plants. Theophrastus was a famous one. He is called the father of botany. He described many plants. His descriptions were detailed, but his system was not fully systematic. It focused on growth forms like trees, shrubs, and herbs. The Renaissance brought new learning. Explorers found many new plants. These came from distant lands. Existing systems could not cope. A better way was needed. Herbals became more complex. They included more illustrations and more detailed descriptions. Before Linnaeus, some tried. Tournefort was a French botanist. John Ray was an English naturalist. They made important contributions. They tried to group plants, but they used long polynomial names. These names were hard to use. Plant classification was still complex. Carl Linnaeus was born in Sweden. He lived from 1707 to 1778. He had a great love for nature, especially for plants and order. He became a famous naturalist. He was also a physician. His goal was to organize life. He brought order to chaos. Linnaeus published many books. His most famous for plants it was published in 1753. This book is very important. It is the starting point for modern botanical names. All plant names start here. It standardized plant naming. Linnaeus introduced binomial nomenclature. This means two-name naming. Each plant gets two Latin names. The first name is the genus. The second is the specific epithet. Together they form the species name. For example, for humans, or for a rose. This system was revolutionary. It was simple and clear. Polynomials were long and confusing. Binomials were easy to remember. They were easy to communicate. Scientists worldwide adopted them. This system is still used today. It is Linnaeus's greatest legacy. Linnaeus also proposed a classification system. It was called the sexual system. He detailed it in. It was based on plant reproductive parts, specifically the stamens and pistils. He counted their numbers. He noted their arrangement. This formed his classes and orders. The sexual system had advantages. It was relatively easy to learn. It was also easy to apply. Even amateurs could use it. It helped to quickly organize plants, especially the many new species that were discovered at the time. It was a practical, useful tool. However, the system had flaws. Many botanists criticized it. They said it was too artificial. It grouped unrelated plants together just because they had similar flower parts. It ignored other important features like leaves, stems, or fruits. It did not show true relationships. Despite its artificial nature, it worked. It served a crucial purpose. It brought temporary order to the vast diversity of plants. It greatly stimulated botanical study. People collected and classified plants. This system was a stepping stone towards more natural classifications. Linnaeus himself knew his limits. He understood his sexual system was one of convenience, not nature. He called it an artificial system. He hoped for a natural method. This would group plants better, based on their overall similarities, not just one or two traits. What does a natural system mean? It aims to reflect true relationships. It groups plants that share many features. These features are considered important. They suggest a deeper connection. This was seen as God's plan or an inherent order in nature. Finding this order was the goal. Developing natural systems was hard. There were many challenges involved. Which characters were most important? Should flowers matter more than leaves? How should characters be weighed? There was much subjectivity. Different botanists had different ideas. Agreement was difficult to achieve. This quest for natural classification grew. It became the main focus after Linnaeus. Botanists across Europe took up the task. They carefully studied plant structures. They compared many different species. They wanted to uncover the underlying patterns, the true affinities between plants. This was a long and slow process. Section 5. Pioneers of Natural Systems, Jussieu and de Candolle. Antoine Laurent de Jussieu was key. He was a French botanist. He worked at the Paris Botanical Garden. In 1789, he published. This book marked a big step. It moved towards natural classification. It was very influential for years. Jussieu built on earlier ideas. Jussieu's method was more comprehensive. He did not rely on single characters. Instead, he used a combination. He looked at many parts of the plant. He grouped plants into families. Many of these families are still recognized. He emphasized character subordination. Some traits are more fundamental. Augustin Pyramus de Candolle followed. He was a Swiss botanist. He greatly admired Jusser's work. He expanded upon these natural methods. His book was vital. It outlined principles for classification. He stressed symmetry in flowers and the arrangement of plant parts. De Candolle made lasting contributions. He refined the concept of homology. This means similarity due to shared origin. He emphasized comparative morphology and also plant anatomy. His massive work aimed to list all plants. His system was widely used. Section 6. Darwin's Impact Evolution Transforms Taxonomy. In 1859, a book changed biology. It was written by Charles Darwin. It introduced evolution by natural selection. This idea had a profound impact. It affected all areas of biology. Plant taxonomy was deeply changed too. A new meaning was given to relationships. Before Darwin, relationship was vague. It meant similarity or affinity. After Darwin, it meant something specific. It meant common evolutionary ancestry. Plants are related if they share an ancestor. Classification should reflect this history. This became the new guiding principle. Taxonomy aimed to show genealogy. The concept of phylogeny emerged. Phylogeny is the evolutionary history of a group of organisms. It is often shown as a tree. This is the tree of life. Taxonomic groups, or taxa, should be monophyletic. This means they include an ancestor and all of its descendants. This new goal reoriented taxonomy. The search for natural order shifted. It became a search for evolutionary links. Botanists looked for new evidence. Fossil plants became more important. They provided clues about ancient forms. Comparative anatomy and embryology helped. They revealed deeper similarities. Section 7. The phylogenetic quest reconstructing plant ancestry. Early attempts were made to draw phylogenetic trees for plants. Ernst Haeckel was a notable figure. He was a German biologist. He drew many detailed trees. These trees were often speculative. They were based on morphology and ideas about evolutionary progression. Several botanists developed systems. They aimed to be phylogenetic. Adolf Engler and Karl Prantl were German. Their system was huge. It was very influential worldwide. It arranged plant families in what they thought was an evolutionary sequence, from simple to complex flowers. Other systems also gained prominence. Charles Bessey, an American botanist, proposed a different phylogeny. He had different ideas about primitive traits. For example, he thought large flowers with many parts were primitive. John Hutchinson from Kew Gardens also developed a major system. Challenges remained in this quest. There was often a lack of data, especially good fossil evidence for plants. Interpreting morphological characters was hard. Different views led to different trees. Which traits showed true ancestry? How to build accurate phylogenies? These questions drove research forward. Section 8. Molecules and Microscopes, Technological Leaps in Taxonomy. The mid-20th century brought new tools. The electron microscope was one. It allowed much higher magnification. Botanists could see tiny details like pollen grain surfaces or the ultrastructure of cell walls. These provided many new characters for comparing and classifying plants. Phytochemistry also became important. This is the study of plant chemicals. Plants produce many unique compounds. These are called secondary metabolites, things like alkaloids or flavonoids. The presence of certain chemicals could provide clues to relationships. This field was known as chemotaxonomy. Then came the molecular revolution. This began in the late 20th century. It truly transformed plant taxonomy. Scientists learned to sequence DNA. DNA is the genetic material. It carries hereditary information. Changes in DNA reflect evolution. This provided a powerful new data source. DNA data offered direct genetic evidence. It showed how related plants were at the most fundamental level. It was often more objective than interpreting morphological traits. Molecular data led to big surprises. Many plant relationships were re-evaluated. Plant families were reorganized significantly. Section 9. Modern plant taxonomy, an ever-evolving synthesis. Today, plant taxonomy is integrative. It does not rely on one data type. Instead, it combines evidence from morphology and anatomy, from molecules, especially DNA, and from fossils and phytochemistry too. This creates a more robust understanding. It is a holistic approach to classification. A major development is the APG. This stands for Angiosperm Phylogeny Group. It is an international collaboration of botanists specializing in flowering plants. They produce consensus classifications based mainly on DNA sequence data. The APG system, APG 1, 2, 3, IV, etc., is now widely adopted globally. Plant taxonomy remains very important. It helps us understand biodiversity. This is crucial for conservation efforts. It is fundamental for ecology, for understanding plant communities. It aids in crop improvement and in the discovery of new medicines. Accurate naming and classification are vital. The future of plant taxonomy is bright. Research is constantly ongoing. New technologies continue to emerge. Scientists are still discovering new species, especially in tropical regions. Our understanding of the plant tree of life is continually being refined. Plant taxonomy is a dynamic, evolving field.